Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. So we're talking about angels. So I think the thing to do if we're going to talk about angels is make sure that we're all on the same page, because the thing is with angels, we're looking at it from a mystical point of view, but if you have a kind of more recent or more new age point of view, you might think about things in a very different way, right? So a lot of times with the new age kind of or the newer approach is just to like say the angel's name or do a little invocation, and it's really more of uh, treating angels like butlers, help me with this, help me with that. This is a very intellectual concept. The intellectual mind versus the intuitional mind. Intellect sees things as a form, and it keeps things in a repetitive way. When we think things intellectually, we're thinking in a repetitive way, and it's usually based on past experiences or pieces of information that we've memorized. We don't really take in new experiences. We don't allow for anything spontaneous to happen. So when we think of an angel, we're thinking about it from that point of view. Help me to maintain something. Help me with, there's this repetition in my life, and how do I make it a little bit more comfortable? Basically, is the point of view. And from the point of view of a mystic, it really is kind of missing the point, you know, because like when you divide things up, intellect is about repetition and maintenance. In the mind, in the body, it's homeostasis. Your body does things to maintain a sort of balance. And even in nature, there's a form of repetition and maintenance, right? And so with that, you could cause that nature or cause and effect, right? How everything kind of plays off each other. Then we have intuition. And intuition is more about healing. It's about movement. It's about spontaneity, right? It's about something new coming in. It's also how we learn, right? When we learn something, a lot of times we're taking in information very quickly and we're beginning to interact with that piece of information, or we're beginning to mimic that piece of movement or behavior so that we can gain some sort of understanding and integrate it and breathe some life into it, right? So this idea is expressed like in a devotional practice, like you devote yourself of mimicking a great teacher or a great avatar. You're devotional to Christ, you're devotional to Buddha, you're devotional to Rama. And in doing so, you start to take on some of the characteristics kind of quickly, you know? And at some point, yes, you're mimicking something that you don't quite understand, but at some point you kind of start to have some understanding and you become more motivated from the inside out, right? And so when we start to work with angels based on a practice called Theurgy, which is a very ancient practice, Theurgy, kind of the modern day version of it here in Astara is angelology. But basically, Theurgy is the practice of being receptive and conductive to this angelic energy. And if we're going to talk about angelic energies, let's kind of have an idea or an understanding of what that even means. And so I think the thing to do is to first look at it as a point of view of something different than what the intellect understands. Again, the intellect understands structure. The intellect understands a form, right? Right. So, like, even if we're like Christian and we grow up Christian, we think of Jesus on the cross, we think of some form of Jesus. But at some point, we move past this idea of Jesus being on the cross, and we begin to experience the essence of the teacher, the essence of the great avatar. right? And so with that, we're starting to look at even these great, great beings, these great, great teachers, as being a kind of transformer, you could say. Because the intellect looks at even the idea of God, the planetary aspect of God, the solar aspect of God, a great teacher. We could say even with Christ, we see it as like the source of something. There's a source of energy that comes from this being, this deity, this great teacher, right? And so you could say that about the Buddha. You could say that about whatever the tradition is. But when you start to look at it from an intuitive point of view, they're just a series of energies that keep getting stepped down, and these great teachers are not the source of this energy. They're a manifestation of this energy, right? It's a slight difference, but it's a very big difference. We go from thinking about it as a form, and we're beginning to see it as more of an essence, more of an energy with consciousness, or a process. So if we look at just the aspects of God, we have an aspect of God that is associated with the universe, and then we have an aspect of God associated with the galaxy, and then we have an aspect of God associated with the solar system, and then we have an aspect of God associated with each of the planets. So a lot of times when we're praying to God, we're praying to the planetary aspect of God, right? And these beings keep stepping down the energy so that it's digestible to us as a human or a soul, right? But as we pray, they also step up the energy, right? So it goes both directions. You could say we're just tapped into a series of transformers. And from the planetary aspect of God or the planetary logos, then you have great teachers. And from the great teachers, you have disciples. And then from the disciples, they have people who are stepping onto the spiritual path and maybe influencing some of the everyday people in their lives, in their families, things like this. So all of these are a manifestation of the creative force, right? It's divine intelligence, it's light, right? It's being stepped down little by little by little by little so that where we're at, we can handle something like this. In the beginning of most like holy books or spiritual books, they say something to the effect of, in the beginning was the Word is with God, and the Word is truly God. They might not say God, they might say Parabrahman, or they might say something else. But the word is an energy or a frequency. It's not that somebody sat and wrote down a book and go, this book is God. It's this energy that is what produces all phenomenon in the universe, right? And so if we look at it like that, we see that these great teachers are a byproduct. They're a manifestation of this energy, right? They're not the source, they're the manifestation. And even like here at Astoria, we do a process where we go, okay, we're surrounded by the pure white light. Only good comes to me, only good goes from me. So, in essence, there is a pure white light, right? There's some form of light. Whatever your belief system is, you could call it the invisible energy. You can call it the animating factor, that what gives our body, our emotions, our mind, animation. You can call it the soul, however you want to identify with it, right? Think of angels is not so much as a being like Michael is this guy that has wings and his staff or his sword and flying around doing things, but it's a kind of energy with consciousness. And you could say somebody like Archangel Michael is not really a being, but maybe more of a position. And to take it even farther, maybe it's not even really a position. It's a lot more like a portal, like it's a way to access very specific kinds of energy with consciousness from that white light. Because us with our mind, we can only perceive so much, right? So even if we perceive the light, we see it through the eyes of a microscope. We don't see the big picture. There's so much potential in the light, our minds can't comprehend it, right? And so even the idea of using an angel, it has a name, it has like some qualities to it, so it gives us some form of structure that the mind can kind of comprehend. But the practice of Theurgy is not to merge necessarily with that being, but it's the ability to use that portal to access a kind of energy with consciousness that then flows through you. You become a vessel, of that light, and that energy with consciousness begins to shift our body, begins to shift our mind and emotions. It begins to shift our environment, the people that we interact with, and it begins to shift the things that we came in with. Whether you believe in reincarnation or that this is just a one-time thing, you can reflect and say, I came in with some issues, right? Like I have struggles in my life for whatever reason. And some of these struggles, if you look at it from an energetic point of view, how they manifest are these energies or things that are down below our feet, right? And so as we go through and we do practices with angels, we're becoming a vessel of light. We're affecting the people around us. But some of that light also flows through us and goes down into the earth and begins to shift and change those things that we've carried for a very long time, brought with us, right? So with that, we're more communing with an angel. We're more bathing in the light of that particular kind of energy. And remember, it's an energy with consciousness, which means it goes where it goes. It's a kind of intelligence. And with that, our minds can grasp pieces of information. We can feel guided. We can feel protected. We can have healing from old traumas and old tendencies. It can also help accelerate our ability to learn lessons, to learn, to grow, to evolve. But we have to be able to access it. We have to be able to treat it as the energy with consciousness that it is, and not just a cosmic bellhop that's going to help me find a good parking spot and help me make it to the store on time before it closes. And there's a lot more to these angelic energies than just simply helping us with our normal everyday things. And so in a way, what you're doing when you do the science or art of Theurgy is you're aligning yourself to something that's more divine. You're developing an aspect of spiritual will. And when you look at spiritual will, we have different kinds of will. We have will that is associated with survival, the basic chakra, like, the ability to thrive into the environment, the ability to make money, the ability to protect ourselves, the ability to not be run over by a car, and, all these kinds of things. And then we have an emotional will. And this is more about our ability to choose. Everything here seems very black and white. That idea of I want what I want and I'm not backing down. That's a very big part of the emotional will, the drive for comfort. Then we have the mental will, which is the center between the eyebrows. And this is not so much about I want what I want and I'm not backing down, but this is the drive when positive. It's the drive to do the right thing. right? To break some of the patterns in our life, to form strategies so we don't keep hurting ourselves over and over again. If this is not developed and has not been spiritualized, this area can be the drive of somebody who's quite ruthless, right? So we're always trying to refine these aspects of our will. But then we have the spiritual will that is associated with the crown, the top of the head. And here, this spiritual will is at first stimulated by maybe helping others, doing service, serving something that's helping to bring goodness or ease the suffering of other people. But even that is just a stepping stone to a greater aspect of spiritual will, where as a person stops identifying with their own life and stops identifying with their own pain and starts looking outside themselves, at some point, the spiritual will becomes an aspect that the will is serving the soul. The will is serving the divine. And so at first the manifestation is maybe helping others, but eventually the spiritual will is serving the soul, helping the soul to grow and evolve while we're in form, right? So this act of working with angels, it's to help align the will, the spiritual will, to help develop the spiritual will. And so there's mechanics to this. And again, we're looking at angels as a portal, not necessarily a being that's going to come and be a bellhop for us, right? We're striving for a kind of alignment, a spiritual alignment, right? The more that we keep trying to align to specific kinds of angels, the more that we have to shift within ourselves. Because if you think about it, a lot of times when we want something different to happen, we're like, I want to stay the same. All you guys need to change, right? Like the environment needs to change, the job needs to change, the work needs to change, my family needs to change. But how often does that really work, right? And so alignment here from a mystic's point of view is, how can I shift internally? How can I shift my physiology, my emotions, my mind to align with something that's much bigger or much greater than myself, than my ideas, than my concepts, than my opinions, my way of thinking, right? How do we do that? So there's mechanics. There's energy centers, there's your physiology. All of these things, if we can tune them, a lot like how we fine tune a radio to get the right frequency, we can begin to bring in certain kinds of angelic energies, right? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to practice a technique. We're going to break it down so that we get it. We're not just going through the steps, because here's the other problem with intellect. I could just blurt out a technique. We don't really develop any ability, and intellect is a great impersonator. It's an amazing impersonator. This is what a spiritual person does. This is what a person working with angels does. It makes up some kind of idea of something, and then it just impersonates something. And then when no effect happens, we're like, well, that technique doesn't work. But was it the technique, or did we lack the ability? Did we not breathe life into it? Right? Did we not have that ability within us to make the shift, to make the change, to have greater depth in the processes that we're doing? So I'm going to walk us through little pieces of it at a time. Right? I'm going to walk us through little pieces at a time. We're going to practice it, and then we're going to do it all together. And then we're going to do it all together, then with invoking angel or two or three, right? So I'm not necessarily going to start at the beginning. I'm actually going to kind of go to the end of this aspect. Now, the thing that I'm teaching here is not the full. There's a thing called the universal angelic process. This is only a piece of it. It's not the full thing. But the reason why the full thing's not being taught is you kind of need to get the pieces together and get them down before you begin to merge them together. So a lot of times we practice the different pieces individually and then we merge them, right? So today we're going to develop an aspect of it. Okay, so the very first thing that I want you to do is just close your eyes. Close your eyes and just be still. Notice how you feel. Notice your body. Notice your thoughts and your emotions. And we notice how that feels. Okay, so let that go for a moment and just look at me for a second. You're going to hold your hand like this. You're going to bend your thumb so it kind of comes like at that kind of an angle, right? So you can kind of see, right, that this knuckle is popping out, right? It's sticking out a little bit. Okay. So what you're going to do is on the side of your head, like on the right side of your head, you're doing this with your right hand. The right side of your head, you're touching like mid area on the side of your head. So like over here somewhere. Not quite above the ear, a little bit in front of the ear, but like this. Okay. So just hold your hand, your fingers are pointed up. Your thumb knuckle is touching the side of your head. And then just close your eyes for a moment. As you sit there with it, notice your body, notice your emotions, notice your thoughts. Can you feel something happening? Can you guys feel something happening? Okay, put your hand down for a second. So why are we doing this weird mudra, right? That would be my first question if I was sitting in the class. Why are we doing this weird hand waving thing, but on the side of the head? So when we look at the idea of doing invocations, for example, like if you take your hands like this and you hold them together, part of what's happening, you usually hold it in front of the heart, or more powerful form of it is you hold it to the heart, right? So part of what's happening is that's activating the heart, for one, but the fingertips are now shooting the energy up towards the top of your head. right? So you're not just activating the heart, you're starting to move the energy up. That's why the fingers are like this and not like this, right? This would be radiating it out. Here it's moving the energy up, right? So when we look at information or light or energy that comes in, and it comes in the crown chakra and it comes into our brain, it doesn't come into the intellectual mind. Remember, the intellectual mind doesn't like anything spontaneous, right? It always is based on past experiences. So we want to stimulate the intuitive part of the mind, right? The intuitive part of the mind is in the brain, but it's a little bit more on the right side of the brain, right? So the idea of touching your thumb to the side of the head and then your fingers are pointed up, it's not only activating the right side of the brain, but it's also shooting energy up above your head, right? It's moving the energy up so that when we do tone the angel, you could say it increases the frequency to be able to experience that energy, that portal that accesses a specific kind of energy, right? So this mudra is a very old practice in Thurji. And in the Buddhist practice, there was a great saint that rapidly evolved in one lifetime. You know, usually when we step on a path in spiritual growth, we develop over, 5 to 7, maybe 5 to 10 lifetimes. But every once in a while, there's a great, great soul that develops from being a scoundrel to a saint in a lifetime. And this Buddhist saint was known as Milarepa, right? And his whole mudra was, he didn't give a lot of teachings about it, but if you knew some of the inner practices, you kind of knew what he was doing, right? In the state of intuition, we have the ability to experience things that are new, but we also have the ability to learn and to let go of things, to transmute them, release them, move past them, not be so fixated on them, whatever it might be. Basically, to stop doing the same thing over and over and over again, right? So this mudra, as you go through and begin to work with bringing in or experiencing is a better way of saying it, these angelic energies, it's like kind of increasing the strength and potency of your antenna is a good way to look at it, right? Now, we're going to do a practice, and then towards the end, that's going to be the mudra. So, we want to practice that at first, so you're not in the middle of being all expanded and going, okay, now here's a new thing to do, right? So we're practicing them before we do it. Now, the next part is there's an eye mudra, right? There's a way to work your eyes to help stimulate the activation of certain parts of your energy body, but also your brain. Now, sometimes when we do meditation practices, you see different yogis or Buddha or something like that. They'll roll their eyes up, right? They'll roll their eyeballs up. That can be helpful, but we want to be even more specific. So if you practice just rolling your eyes up for a second, roll your eyes up like as high as they'll go, or you can hold it and maintain it. Okay, now let that go. Now move your eyes to the side, like if you're going as far right as you can without moving your head. You're looking to the right. Okay, so first you looked up like this, and then you looked up like this, right? The mudra is here, right? It's not up and it's not directly to the side. It's at a 45-degree angle. So you're like looking up like this way, like if you can see, like you're looking this way. So have your eyes open, and then look at a 45-degree angle to the right. And then just close your eyes and be still. And then do it with your eyes open. Open your eyes again. Go at a 45-degree angle. So you're looking not directly up, but to the right, but still up-ish, So you're looking like this. And then close your eyes and be still. What was that? So what you're doing is, for one, you're activating the forehead. You're activating the forehead chakra, right where the hairline's at. And you're activating the part of the brain that is tied to intuition, right? So we want that because as we start to invoke these angelic energies, we want intuition to be in control and not intellect. Because if we're in intellect, if we're in our everyday mind and we invoke this angelic energy, as soon as it starts to come in, even if it starts to enter our energy body, the mind, the brain is going to go, I don't know about that. I've never experienced that. I'm not going to let it in, or I'll only let a little tiny bit in. Or worse yet, I'll impersonate what I think that is. I mean, intellect does things like that. Intellect loves stories. It loves stories, right? Intuition loves experience. It loves the now. It loves the movement. It loves process. So now, remember our hand mudra? You're going to take your hand, you're going to bend it. And then you're going to stick it on the side of your head. Kind of, you can see where my hand is. It's like over, like here for you guys, but on the right. Right, so we're here. And with your mudra in place, move your eyes to that 45-degree angle to the right. And then close your eyes, leave your hand in place, but just close your eyes and be still. And then open your eyes, 45-degree angle up to the right. Close your eyes and gently relax your hand down and keep your eyes closed. Just be still for a moment. Can you feel something happening? Does your mind feel different than it did before? So that's the end of the process. The beginning of the process is a lot of times things that we do, or at least portions of it that we do a lot in our daily or weekly practices with Astara. But we want to fine tune them and amplify them a little bit to deepen this practice and this process. So we're working with two pieces here. One is the heart, and the other is the crown or the top of the head. But more appropriately, deep within the crown, at the root of the crown chakra, is the pineal gland or the mental permanent atom or seed, right? And this is where we process information from the higher soul. This is where we process light, and this is how we fill the body with light. You could say that this is how we send out the signal for the angelic energy, and this is how we receive it. So its potency is dependent on how activated the heart is. If the heart's not very big, then that area doesn't have a lot of potency. If the heart is big, then that area has a lot of potency. Now, also the opposite happens. If we're able to attract a kind of angelic energy that we begin to bathe or commune with, we're bathing in this energy. It's starting to come in to the center in the pineal gland, the mental permanent seed, also known as the blue pearl. We've gotten the attention of bringing this angelic energy in, but as it starts to come in, how it fills the body with light or how it passes through the body, making the body a vessel, is dependent on the heart. The heart has to be able to be in a place where it can handle the energy. And you can say the level of connection between the heart and the crown it helps to increase the potency of the handoff from the mental permanent seed down into the physical form, the emotional form, the lower emotions, right? So the other aspect is the crown, the forehead, the area between the eyebrows known as the ajna. All of these are associated with the higher soul. The throat is a void or a bridge. And then from the heart down is also associated with the incarnated soul, right? So not only are we increasing our potency for being able to handle the signal, get the attention of an archangel and experiencing it in the body, by going through and doing this practice between the heart and the crown or the heart and the brain, you're also making a connection between the incarnated soul and the higher soul, right? You're becoming a much greater vessel than when you started, right? So we're going to do a practice of just increasing the movement in these centers. And so this is what I would say about that, is that the energy body, our emotions, our mind, they all function in a particular way. And even when we're sitting here and we're doing meditation or we're playing with a chakra or sitting with our awareness on a chakra, it's hard for us not to think about it in an intellectual point of view, right? Intellect is very strong, it's very dominating. So part of what happens here is even when we begin to have an experience, intellect protects what it knows or what it thinks should be happening. And so sometimes we start to have an experience and then our head gets in it or the intellect gets in it and kind of starts to slow it down or shut it down. So we want to increase the potency of how each of these areas work and really align them with the intuitive mind and kind of push intellect. We're not pushing it away, we're pushing it a little bit more into the background, right? We're just telling it to take a seat on the bench, so to speak. Moving past our thoughts, moving past our opinions, our past experiences, and just having an experience in the here and the now. Okay. So the very first thing we're going to do is you're going to close your eyes and your awareness is on the heart, the center of your chest. Now, with our awareness on the center of the chest, we want to help the heart be a little bit more dynamic. So, one of the ways we can do this is with a thing that we call chakra breathing. And sometimes to do chakra breathing, it's nice to have a point that we can focus on, right? So, the first step would be with your awareness on your heart, visualize a rose, a beautiful, beautiful rose with your awareness on the center of your chest. Now, with this rose, as you begin to inhale, inhale the essence of the rose into the heart. As you breathe, breathe in, drawing essence in from the rose into the heart. Continue to breathe in the essence of the heart. And now, as you exhale, move your attention awareness back to the rose, moving your essence or your energy to the rose. You're inhaling, bringing the essence in. You're exhaling, and the essence is going back to the rose. Now, just be still for a moment. Now, another way to look at this process is to think of a loved one. Think of a loved one. Somebody that you love and somebody that you know loves you. Inhale their love into your heart. As you exhale, exhale love towards them. Inhale their love. Exhale your love towards them. And then just be still. Just be still and notice how you feel. Okay. Now we're going to direct it in a different way. Your awareness is on your heart. As you inhale, you're moving your awareness up to your brain. Then when you get to your brain and you exhale, you move your awareness back to your heart. Inhale up, exhale back down to the heart. So first, inhale up to your brain. Exhale from your brain down to the front heart. Inhale up. Exhale down. Continue to go up and down. And then just be still. And just being still. Let's practice that one again. Your awareness is on your heart. Inhale, moving through your body up to the brain. Pause. From the brain, exhale down, moving down, down, down to the heart. Inhale, moving your awareness slowly through the body up to the brain. Exhale slowly down to the heart. Inhale, moving your awareness up, up, up to the brain. Exhale from the brain down to the heart. Now be still for a moment, but your awareness is on the front heart and your brain at the same time. Hold your awareness on the brain and heart at the same time. Now just let it all go. Your eyes are closed, you're just being still. Put your awareness on the back heart, the area between your shoulder blades. So that area between your shoulder blades, your awareness is there. As you inhale, move your awareness up to the brain. As you exhale, from the brain down to the back heart. The back heart up as you inhale. As you exhale, from the brain to the back heart. And then keep your awareness on the brain and back heart, both at the same time. And then just let go. Let's practice that again. Your awareness is on your back heart, the area between your shoulder blades. As you inhale, move your awareness up to the brain. As you exhale, from your brain down to the back heart. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. Your awareness is on your back heart and your brain, both at the same time. Okay. Hold your hand up, bend the thumb, put it on the side of your head. Your eyes are open. You're looking up at that 45-degree angle, doing the eye mudra. And then close your eyes and rest your hand. And just be still for a moment. You're just observing, just being still. Right now, I think it's easy to say you're not in your everyday mind. You're in a little bit of a different place. You're in a place that's ready to receive something, a kind of signal or energy. So, how about this? Let's take a little short break, let you kind of get up and stretch your legs, and then we're going to come through. We're going to do the whole process again, but we're going to begin toning angels to do it as well. So, how about we'll come back at 15 after? So, 15-minute break. Okay, everybody, let's go ahead and come on back. So we're going to go through, we're going to do the process. And I'd say let's work the 4 archangels, right? So I think the first archangel we'll work is the Archangel Raphael. So again, just close your eyes and just be aware. Be aware of yourself, your body, your emotions, your thoughts. And in your stillness, your awareness is on your heart. Your awareness on your heart. Begin to visualize a rose. Inhale the essence of the rose. Exhale, moving your awareness back to the rose. Inhale in, exhale out. And then just let go. Let go of everything. Just let go. Your awareness is on your heart. Inhale, moving your awareness up to the brain. Exhale from the brain down to the front heart. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Continue to inhale up. Exhale down. Your awareness is both on the heart and the brain, both at the same time. Just observe and be still. Your awareness is on the back heart, the area between the shoulder blades. Inhale up to the brain. Exhale back down to the heart. Inhale up to the brain, and from the brain, exhale down to the heart. Your awareness is on the back heart, that area between your shoulder blades, and the brain, both at the same time. Let that go. Bring your hand up, bend the thumb, touch it to the side of your head. Your eyes are open. You're looking up at a 45-degree angle to the right. Close your eyes and let go. Leave your hand in place. Open your eyes again. You're looking up at a 45-degree angle. Close your eyes. Rest your arm in your hand. Your eyes are closed. And I'm just going to tone the name of Raphael. So your eyes are closed and you're just being still. Roll. Fall. Bring your hand up, bend your thumb, touch it to the side of your head. Move your eyes to a 45-degree angle to the right. Roll. Four. Close your eyes and just rest your hand. Okay, bend your thumb, hand up to the side of your head, eyes up at a 45-degree angle. Roll. Four. You can close your eyes, relax your hand. Your eyes are closed. Be aware of your body. Where do you feel something in your body? Where does something jump out? Wherever it is, your awareness and focus is on this spot. You're observing. You're not trying to relax it or release it. You're simply observing it. Okay, let's just let it go. And move your body around a little bit. So with the universal angelic process, there's three pieces or three parts to it. This is one of the parts. Let's go ahead and maybe open it up to shares and questions before we do another round. So you can unmute yourself or type in, or you guys can just get my attention.
And if you're on Zoom and you want to chat with Greg, the best way is to raise your hand. And how you do that, if you're on a computer or if you're on like an iPad or something, there's a button that says react. You click on that and then there's a choice to raise hand. Click on that. If you can't see or figure that out and you do want to chat, just let us know. Type into the chat and I'll get you unmuted. I'll help you unmute.
Greg, so in that process that we just did, and just to kind of I'm gonna say it out loud, so review it and make sure I'm doing it right. So and the connection with the thumb in the forehead, or the temple, and then breathing in, we are focusing on the up in our brain.
Yeah, you're so, but
Yeah.
so he's saying the thing with the thumb on the side of the head. So the breathing between the heart and the brain,
Yes.
you're doing that before you put the hand up.
Okay.
So you're kind of making the connection, you're increasing the circuit, and once that's kind of there, then you're putting your thumb up on the side of your head and then doing the eye mudra.
Got it. Thank you.
And so, but at first, like I mean, it always amplifies it when we mix the heart and the brain. And so if we don't do that first, we'll have an experience, but it won't be as strong.
Got it.
So even if you've been doing this whole bunch of times, you still go mix those things and then do the mudra and the eye mudra.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. And then you can tone different names. Here we did Raphael, and if we have time, we'll do another one. But you know, there's a lot of angels out there, and remember, the angels are a portal of a kind of energy that helps with the development of the mind, the emotions, your physiology, and even, you know, things that have to do with the past. So, yeah.
So what aspects or characteristics are we associating with Raphael?
So she's asking what characteristics or aspects are associated with Raphael. And you could look at Raphael as a healer. You know, it's the archangel associated with healing, but it also is the archangel associated with transmutation. And I'd say the healing also comes from helping to establish order. You know, when the physiology, when the emotions and mind are chaotic, it's hard for soul energy or, you know, life force to come in or to impregnate all the areas of our body. And so you could even say a kind of dis-ease is basically a kind of chaos that's in the body. And the areas that aren't healing, you know, of course we have age and things like that, but the areas that don't really heal are a lack of life force or lack of soul energy in those areas. And so Archangel Raphael is significant when it comes to healing, establishing order, transmutation. I would also say Archangel Raphael helps with observation. You know, we're sitting here doing a process that's tied to observation. And part of the aspect of healing is also the balancing of the two sides of the brain and also the separating of the two sides of the brain. You know, it's not always just about harmonizing. You know, when we look at the idea of intellect and we look at the idea of intuition, and even when we look at the idea of experiencing some level or some degree of oneness, you know, these are three different aspects: focus, awareness, and oneness. And you could say that our mind or our brain has the potential for all three of these things, but they're kind of fused together, right? And in this fusion, your ability to focus, your ability to have awareness or experience oneness is based on the worst of that fusion. So whatever the lowest denominator is basically how much we'll be able to experience all these things. So on one level, we want the different parts of the mind to harmonize, right? But we also want to separate them so that focus can really focus and awareness can be really an observation and have great levels of sustained awareness. And when we have experiences of oneness, we're able to deeply experience oneness. And then these things begin to have an emergence where they all kind of come together and the sum is greater than the parts. You know, it becomes something much greater than focus or awareness. And so Archangel Raphael is very much tied to both the bringing together, but also in the separating. You know, the Archangel Raphael is also associated with the planet Mercury. And in the energy center, Archangel Raphael is associated with the Ming Men, the low back area, the backside of the navel, which is where forgiveness is initiated. So forgiveness, you know, we talk about intellect and we talk about intuition, and in the body, it's homeostasis, which is the body's ability to maintain some sort of stability. But there's times when the body has to change or shift when it heals, and this is known as allostasis. So there's times, most of the time, our body's in a form of homeostasis, but for healing to happen, it has to be able to shift and break out of that pattern. So it's allostasis. So if you look at it from the point of view of outside of ourselves, right? You could say intellect is tied to cause and effect or nature, right? It's tied to the qualities and properties of nature. And intuition outside of ourselves is a spontaneous act or something coming from beyond just normal cause and effect. You could call this grace. So intellect being cause and effect, and intuition being associated with grace. And to take it even deeper, you could say stages of humanity are, for a while we were an eye for an eye, right? An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. This would be again associated with intellect. And then at some point, humanity as a group begins to move more towards loving thy neighbors themselves, or having forgiveness or compassion. This would be tied to the intuitive component. So there's like a grand scale of this, and there's a micro scale. The micro scale is intellect, intuition, but it's expressed in all areas of the universe. There's repetition and there's spontaneous action. And what produces all phenomenon in the universe is this interplay between form and essence, or intellect and intuition, cause and effect and grace, whatever you want to call it. Because even if you look at the evolutionary process, things were happening over and over again, and all of a sudden, there's a burst of something new coming in, right? And so another way of saying that is could be just grace, And so with this, the Archangel Raphael is much greater than just the healer, or I want healing, so I'm going to invoke this. If you deeply work the aspects of this energy with consciousness, it helps move you to a place where on one level, yes, you're healing. On another level, yes, you're starting to establish order in your life so you can have greater levels of providence, or greater levels of health, greater levels of stability, greater levels of interaction with the soul. But even on a deeper level, it starts to develop aspects of the mind or consciousness that is beyond the everyday mind, or beyond, the citizen that, has to drive a car and balance a checkbook and go to the store and do all those things. It moves past all of that and starts to have experiences beyond the senses. Right? So every archangel, every angel, you could go much deeper than even the things that you would read about, or the things that you would hear other people say, or, nothing wrong with playing with like angel cards and things, but to use the meditation as, or excuse me, to use the angel or archangel as a source for deeper inner experiences will go way beyond just what the normal way of thinking about it. The intellect only sees a little tiny bit of it and just assumes that it sees it all. Intuition has the ability to perceive everything kind of all at once.
So how does it feel like once you truly experience that? Like how do you, for me, I didn't feel anything first 2 times, but the third time it felt like the word that came was mother's womb.
Right. So she's asking, how does it feel when you do this? It's going to feel different from person to person. And I would say it also will feel different from time to time, even when we do it. So she said the first couple of times we did it, she didn't really feel very much. She didn't really feel anything. And then the last time she said it felt very much like a mother's womb, like being kind of nurtured, and so if you look at the idea of you're experiencing the light, but the light eventually produces love. So if you look at it from the point of view of the three spiritual energies, right? We have divine light, divine love, and then divine power, right? Divine power being creative destruction. And so creative destruction is breaking things down so that we can have a new experience. We can have something different or new come in. We can step out of that repetition, right? Love is providence. It is those things that bring stability to our life, and it makes us feel happy and loved and nurtured, a sense of well-being, things of that nature. And then you have divine light, which is tied to divine intelligence. And with divine light, you have cycles. Divine light is basically based on the law of cycles. And so if you look at even the earth, the sun is up and the sun is down. We're awake, we're asleep. We eat food and then we don't. We inhale, then we exhale. Everything is based on this idea of cycles. And so a lot of times when we're stuck in suffering, we're stuck somewhere in this idea or law of cycles. And sometimes these cycles are working for us, sometimes they're working against us. And so even when you notice, like, I feel really good and then I don't, I feel really bad, and that too also passes. Everything's kind of transient, right? And so the more that we are able to experience the light and not get focused on the form, right? We're able to kind of flow or evolve. And you could say, in a way, this is harnessing the law of cycles, right? If hey, these things come up, I know that if I don't meditate on a regular basis, I start feeling cranky, and then I start acting out, and then I start not getting along with the people around me. And when there's stress, I overreact. And so I'm gonna meditate 3 times a week, and so that everything feels a little calmer, a little bit more stable. And so you're harnessing proper, like, good aspects of divine intelligence or the law of cycles to produce something, right? When we don't really think about it, when we don't make decisions like, is this going to bring stability in my life, right? Life's just all over the place. But basically harnessing that idea of the law of cycles is you're making decisions going, I'm making a decision here in this situation, whatever's going on, to eventually produce some sort of stability in my life. So when we start to master divine intelligence, even to a little bit, it produces divine love or providence or stability. And then in that place of stability where, okay, even when I have a bad day, life is still okay. Even though somebody gets mad at me, I'm okay. I'm not in harm's way, right? I can have good, I can have bad, and I'm still okay. And from that place is where then we begin to experience creative destruction or divine power, where now I can eradicate things in either my environment or within me to experience a deeper inner experience, experience a deeper aspect of my true self or my true nature. And not only can I experience it, but I can bring it into my mind, I can bring it into my emotions, I can bring it into my body, right? And so by going through and working these aspects, you're, like you said, at first, like, I'm not really feeling anything. I'm not feeling anything. And then you're saying, I feel like a mother's womb. I'm in a mother's womb. So the act of working with angels, you are harnessing the law of cycles, and you're helping to you're helping to bring forth a kind of providence or stability or divine love. So if you notice, like, most angels, not all, but most, they end in the letter EL. Yeah. And in inner practices, that is the holy name or the holy aspect of God associated with the heart, right? In the heart, like each energy center has an aspect of God within it, and it has its own name. And that particular piece is associated with the heart. So even the act of working with the light, it eventually produces love. So if you go to the idea, the same idea in the Buddhist teachings, there's like they call him like a bird god, like Garuda, right? And they say even the Buddha couldn't experience enlightenment without the blessings or the presence of Garuda. And basically, it's the presence of light. Garuda represents the light, right? And so Garuda is the steed for Vishnu, who is the love aspect. So the love aspect rides the back of the being that's associated with light. So you could say on a deeper level, if you can't experience light, then you can't experience love. Not only just love of other people, but love of yourself, divine love, higher aspects of love. And so the benefit of working with angels is you're tapping into the ability to harness this aspect of light to eventually produce a type of providence or stability. So it's a science. It's not science like I'm going to put this under the microscope and tell you what kind of disease it is. But if you follow certain mechanics, you'll produce results regardless of where you're at. If you're new, you start producing stability in your life. If you've been doing practice for a very long time, you just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. You're engaging a process, rather than the repetition. Yeah, yeah.
And go ahead, Ramona.
Hey, Ramana.
Hi, I wanted to find out, I used to do the salutations of the four archangels every morning,
Uh,
and would this help also while
this
doing
would
it?
amplify it substantially. Yeah.
Okay, and I should do it with the right hand, right?
Yes. Always,
And
always the right hand. Even
always
if
the
you're a
right hand.
lefty, it's still the right hand.
Okay, got you. And then, so am I doing it right now?
Oh, I can't see you.
Oh, you can't
Hold
see
on,
me?
hold on just a second.
Go ahead, Ramona, talk and show him once again.
Am I doing it right? This is my right hand. So,
Yep, yep, you're
okay.
doing it right.
Okay, I wanted to find out also, should we do this every time we rise and every time we go to sleep, or would that help?
I would say just whenever you're working with angels, like if you want to go that hard at it, I would say do it. But if the body starts getting a little overwhelmed, the thing that I would say you could do it at night, but the tendency might be that you get a little congested in bed. Because
Gotcha.
like during the day you get up, you move around, and so if there's a little excess energy, you're moving, it kind of disperses. If you do it right before you go to bed, the tendency might be that you start to feel a little sluggish, or over a long period of time, you might start to feel a little depressed because your energy field has gotten so impacted.
Gotcha.
But
Okay,
other than that, if you want to do it daily, go ahead.
all right. And then the in the practice of the four salutations of the four archangels, that's still good, right?
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And how much time should I give for each archangel?
I would say, that's kind of a personal decision. It
Okay,
also depends on the situation. You're busy all day, you sit down, you go, I'm going to give it 15 minutes.
gotcha.
And then
Okay,
hey, it's Sunday, I don't have anything to do, I'm in a good place. I'm going to give it an hour and a half.
okay,
I
I see
would
what you're saying.
say
Okay,
make it more about consistency than intensity.
gotcha.
Do
Okay,
it consistently over a period of time rather than just trying to go super hard at it, you know, at first.
and let me ask you, Archangel Uriel,
Mhm.
what is he about?
That's the archangel of the void, and it's the archangel of the light. And so it helps with refining the mind and development of intuition. Um, I would say the easiest way to look at it is it's an archangel that is associated with going deeper into ourselves and deeper into the mysteries
Oh, God,
of,
okay,
yeah. Like
Okay.
think of it as a void. Like we have a void between our incarnated soul and the higher soul. The throat is the void between these upper centers and the lower centers. But even between us and the Buddha and us and Christ and us and whoever, there's a void. And so the Archangel Uriel is about bridging that space or bridging that gap between us and, the incarnated soul and the higher soul, the upper centers and the lower centers, but also between us and the Buddha, us and Christ, us and Rama, us and, whatever aspect you're trying to connect to.
yeah, because I've been associated more with Uriel,
Mhm.
and for me, he gives me wisdom.
Mhm.
Well, what you said, intuition. I get,
Well, if you think about what I was saying about going deeper into the mystery, I would call that wisdom.
okay,
Yeah.
because that's what I've been feeling with him. He he guides me in a way that is beautiful.
Good. Yeah, good.
So to say. Thank you, Greg. Thank you
You're
for
so
doing this.
And we do have some chat shares and questions as well. Give me just 1 second though, guys. And so most of the questions started with kind of the logistics again about the hand placement. So the touching part of thumb knuckle is with the thumbnail or no thumb or
No, the knuckle. You're touching with the knuckle. If it's hard for you to bend, sometimes we get a little arthritis or something. Try to rub that part of the thumb on the side of the head. You don't have to bend it super extreme, but you're kind of wanting that little hard spot there to touch the head. Right?
And thank you. Will you just kind of hold it there and do it to the side-ish? Perfect. Because someone's asking, can you show the thumb placement again,
Like for you
please?
guys over here, and then
And they're asking, is it behind the temple? So
yes, it's behind the temple, but just in front of the ear.
So I think that kind of answers all of your logistical questions. And so that was good. Okay. According to what's going on. And then I had someone said, in regards to your experiment, I did experience a warmth feeling to my right hands. Is this a good experience? Also, I'm experienced in warmth energy from the inside of my entire spine, from the root up.
Yeah, like I would say that different times that you do this, different angels, we're going to experience things in different ways. Sometimes the body might feel a little cold, sometimes it might feel a little warm. You might feel it in certain areas in the body. It could be that there's blockages in that part of the body, or that there's not blockages in there. It's kind of a little bit hard to say. The thing that I would keep in mind is you're invoking an energy of with consciousness, and it's going to do things that are even more than what we think we need, things that are in the unconscious and the subconscious, patterns in the body. And so that energy is going to go where it feels directed to go. And sometimes we might know what it's about, sometimes it doesn't. And so the idea would be to not try to control it or direct it, because like sometimes people will go, well, I'm forming the intention that it's going to do this and I'm going to do that. the difficulty that I would say is a lot of times, if this is the big picture, our intellectual understanding and our directing that energy is a lot like this. And so on one level, it feels like I'm going to direct this so that it does something that it needs to do. But really what you're doing is you're going, I'm going to hold you back and go exactly where I think you need to go, and not what this divine intelligence feels driven to do. Right. And so I would say, turn on the faucet and then let the faucet flush you out. And who knows what it's going to look like. Sometimes it's very nice. Sometimes it's very soothing. Sometimes you're like, oh, that was deep. I need a nap. It's going to be different from time to time. A lot of times I feel like a kind of inner strength after doing this. And I'll go, well, I don't know that I really felt anything. And then I drive down the wrong way street, the wrong direction, and I like don't stop for the stoplight. I'm like, oh, apparently I'm a little more altered than I thought. Like, I'm present, but I'm also expanded at the same time. And so even though it feels like, yeah, I just feel kind of normal, there's still an expansion that is very different than like when you expand in your sleep and you take off and dream, or you do a simple meditation. Consciousness is expanding out of the body, right? It's expanding out. But a deeper kind of expansion is expanding within the body. And when you expand within the body, it's not as, I would say, there's not like the bliss of like, oh God, I passed out. That was so amazing. I took a nap. I took off. It's more of the expansion within the body. You're aware, you're present. The expansion is happening. There's a deeper level of oneness and peace, but you're also very, very, very present at the same time. And so, a lot of times we think of a blissful experience where we kind of lose our consciousness a little bit, or we check out and we really expand up, is like the deep spiritual experience. But the deeper spiritual experience is increasing the potential or the potency of being present. And being present doesn't mean checking out, and being present doesn't mean expanded out there and not really in my body. It's like I'm in my body. There's an inner strength. I feel the soul within the body. I feel a divine presence within the body. And I can still drive a car. I can still do these things, but at the same time, I have my foot in this other spiritual realm, both at the same time. As the heart develops more, you start to walk the path where you can have the normal everyday life and a spiritual part of life kind of together at the same time. And at first they feel like they are in opposition, but it's just like you have your foot in one and your foot in another, and you're walking with them both at the same time.
I felt cold and hungry.
Cold and hungry. That's probably you going into repair mode. Like, if you go into rest and repair is also, it's chow time, like it's time to eat. It's like when you eat.
Do we also have our guardian angels? Should we connect with their energies in a similar way?
Yeah, you just doing the process, you will connect with that. A lot of times, we all have a guardian angel, and we also have angels that act as guardians for each one of us, but for all of humanity. It's hard because there's not really a name that you can say like, oh, this name or that name for your guardian angel. If you have the ability to contemplate, you can do that. And just times where I felt guided, or doing the process will bring that in. Even though, say, here we invoked, intoned the name Raphael. Raphael didn't come up to your guardian angel and go, excuse me, I gotta go. Now I gotta go down and talk to him. It's an energy with consciousness. So even when you're going through and doing this, The energy of your guardian angel is also involved in this process. But I get like what you're saying, like, what if I want to just work specifically with my guardian angel? You know, you wouldn't really be able to tone something, but it's an interesting question. At the point where you would do the toning, you could radiate love to the arcane, the guardian angel, your guardian angel. You could just form the intention. I'm radiating love to my guardian angel. Whatever you radiate love, whatever you put out comes back to you many, many times. And so that might be the way for you to connect with that when you don't know a name.
My front and back heart are running powerful energy, and so is the notch in the collarbone.
Hmm.
Should I just relax and let it happen?
Yeah, let it happen. It's incubating. It's I would say all of this process, it activates the blue pearl or the mental permanency, that it activates the heart, and there's a seed within the heart. I would say, if you boiled it down, this whole process, regardless of what angel you invoked or toned or decided to work with, it activated the inner janitor. You know what I mean? Like it's cleaning things up and helping to release things and help to bring kind of stability or order to the body, the emotions and mind, but even to the life itself. We think of it a lot of times, or at least I do. Like sometimes I just think about the body or the situation or this thing this week, but bigger picture is just the life itself. And then, the journey of the soul as it goes through incarnations or goes through experiences in the inner world. I would say that this is helping to clean up that aspect so that it's not weighed down or bogged down by old experiences and the environment and the things going on in the world and the upsetting thing that happened last week. And doesn't mean that they're not upsetting, but it just gives you a different perspective. Like if you looked at something through a microscope and then you put glasses on and then you looked at it through a binocular and then you looked at it through a telescope, you'd be looking at the same thing, but your perspectives would be very, very, very different. And you could say that this is shifting into a different kind of thinking, even though you might be dealing with some issues or difficulties in your life or in your world somehow, that it changes how you think about those things. It brings in a different kind of essence. It brings in the inner problem solver, the inner innovator, the inner healer.
The same person shared the pineal seems activated as well.
Yeah. How the angelic energies come in is through the pineal.
And they ask, maybe this is the whole point and I just need to direct to healing myself and the planet, ?
Just let the energy do what it does. That's all you gotta do. Bring it in and then stay out of its way. That was my inner mantra for a very long time.
Question, take a salt bath, same person.
Yeah, you could take a salt bath. I'd give it a little bit of time, but you could take a salt bath just to clean things up. Sure.
In regards to the other thing, they said, okay, I can do that, thanks. Good shares, good questions, guys.
I have one
Mhm.
small thing. So what if it gets complicated and you don't know which angel you want to invoke? Can one angel do everything?
So she's asking what happens if things are very complicated and you don't know which angel to invoke. I would say even if you start off and it's like maybe not the most lined up angel, you're still invoking a kind of energy with consciousness. And let's just say they know each other, like, you know what I mean? And so even if you go, okay, I'm going to invoke this angel and that angel gets here and you know, this is just kind of being, you know, funny with it, but like it gets there and it's like, ugh, above my pay grade or it's not my expertise, you know, it's still going to bring in an energy with consciousness that can be helpful. But like if you have things where you feel that they're big or they're a little overwhelming, I would say I would start, you know, we have the four archangels, Raphael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Michael. Those are always good. Those are associated with the four directions. There's the archangel Metatron, which is not really the proper way to say it. Like the proper way to say it is Methatron, which means beyond the throne of God or behind the throne of God. And so you could say that Metatron, which is a casual way of saying that holy name, is like the king of all the angels. You know, it's like it's the essence, like it is if you weren't sure, you could work that, you know, because it's kind of the big boss, you know. Then you know all angels don't really have a male or female, but Metatron is considered masculine and has a twin, which is Sandalphon, which is associated with the basic chakra. Metatron is associated with the crown. Sandalphon is associated with the basic. And they say that Sandalphon is considered feminine. And it's not that it's a girl, it's that it's associated with the form or with the body or just the idea or aspect of form. And so, you know, these two kind of like as one has a greater presence, it diminishes the other, but they kind of go back and forth like this. Like, so in a way, you could say Metatron is yang and Sandalphon is yin. So it's the play that between those two things that produces all phenomenon in the universe. And so the times might be to work with Sandalphon. And you know, Sandalphon is very good for any sort of issue that might have to do with the body or like ideas, concepts, opinions of the mind or a pattern in the emotional body. But the thing that I would say about Sandalphon is it increases, working with that angel increases the potential for your prayers to be heard. You know, because how we were talking about the void before, sometimes you know the issue is like say we're praying to Jesus or say we're praying to Kuan Yin, say we're praying to the Buddha, like who you know, whenever these great elders are, it's not like they're far away and we're like, hey, Jesus, help, you know, we're not like doing that. We're swimming in their energy. Their energy is as big as the planet. It encompasses the planet. So when we're praying, for one, we're stepping out of intellect, we're stepping into intuition, and we're trying to embrace something that is outside of ourselves. I'm asking for outside help, right? So that's one aspect, but the separation is really in our mind, you know, in our consciousness, and so there's a void between us and Jesus. There's a void between us and the Buddha. There's a void between us and Rama or Krishna or whoever, right? And so that idea of working with Uriel would help it with Sandalphon. It's to bridge that void or that gap in our awareness or our perception. You know, again, it kind of comes back to that intellectual piece where we're kind of setting aside the intellect and going, uh, separation is an illusion. You know, basically that's what you're kind of working through. This separation, I'm swimming in the energy of Christ. I'm swimming in the energy of the Buddha. I don't have to reach out. We are one. I'm swimming in it all the time. And intellectually, even if we get it, still there's part of the unconscious that's like, I don't know about that. I think we're very separated. You know, we have our things that even if we have an opinion, unconscious does what unconscious does. And so that idea of working Sandalphon has a refining effect on the unconscious and helps to bridge that void between us and something greater, something more divine outside of ourselves. And so if in doubt, I mean, you can work any of the archangels, but if in doubt, I would say, go to either a Metatron or Sandalphon. I work Sandalphon quite often. I think Sandalphon's very quietly not talked about. Like, you know what I mean? Like everybody's always this angel or that angel or Metatron. Sandalphon, even if you Google Sandalphon, you'll hardly find anything on Sandalphon. So my rule of thumb is like when something like that is out there, but it's not talked about, it's probably inner teachings, which means it's very, very potent. Like a lot of times when a great teacher mentions something and then doesn't talk about it, there's usually a lot there. They're not going to explain it with intellect. They want you to have inner experiences. And if you look at Sandalphon, there's not a lot written. So it's like, there might be something juicy there. Yeah. No, go ahead.
Sandalphon is, if I can associate it with the chakra, it's a basic chakra.
Right. So she's asking, Sandalphon is associated with the basic chakra. Yes.
When it comes to like Kundalini, would that be also like, that's not the.
It wouldn't
would
necessarily.
that Also be like. the
It would.
soul?
It would not necessarily be the source. So she's asking, like Sandalphon being associated with Kundalini, it would impact it, but it wouldn't be the thing.
Just trying to like.
Yeah,
understand.
yeah. But it would be close. I mean, it's something that you could work for though. Yeah. And you had?
So based on that conversation, from the standpoint of being able to experience Sandalphon or any higher being, like what we did this morning, may we experience the love you have for us, and then wait for the response. That it's almost instantaneous, and if you are aware of your heart, let's try that. Can we do that with
Sure.
Sandalphon?
Yeah. So what were you saying though? Say it again.
So if we ever are in doubt that we're alone, all we
Right.
have to do is say, may, to the Lord Christ, may I experience the love you have for me. Because you mentioned, because it's all
Right.
here.
Okay,
let's try that
so
with Sandalphon.
he's asking if we can do a little experiment and saying, if we're always swimming in the energy of Christ or the energy of Buddha or the energy of Kuan Yin or whoever it is, he's saying if we're always there, maybe we would like trying an experiment to do an invocation of saying, may I experience the love that, say, Christ feels for me, or the love that Kuan Yin feels for me. So we'll do it, and then we'll play with Sandalphon a little bit just to see if we can't amplify it. Right? Okay, so just close your eyes for a moment. To the Lord Christ, also known as Rabbi Yehoshua Bar Miriam. Let us experience, and may we experience, the love that you feel for each one of us. We humbly invoke your presence and love. Sandal home. we put our hands up to our head like so. Look at a 45-degree direction to the right. San Dal Phone. And then gently put your hand down. Yeah, that felt very nice. Yeah, that was a nice little experiment. Yeah, it was very expensive. Yeah. And I think we have a couple more questions, so.
So, can you direct us to a chart that shows the chakras of each angel is most associated with?
I think we have something written up here that's like a tree of life. I'll see if we can dig it around and do that.
I just wanted to validate, I have read somewhere Archangel Sandalphon communicates guidance through music and lyrics. Is that true?
Yeah, that's what it's usually associated with the arts. Okay, you guys, well, we're getting ready for the fire ceremony, or fire blessing is probably a better way of saying it. And so we're gonna take a little break and come back in a half hour. And it will be a different link, so it won't be the same link. So if you don't have it, you can just go to the website and get it. But we'll see you in a half hour, and we'll kind of hit the ground rolling and jump right into it.